Hello and happy Thursday to all of you out there in social media world, especially to my supporters and my followers. This is Brother Dana coming to you from Chicago. Yeah, I am sitting in my car. Yeah, I just freshly showered and I'm not in my studio per se, my little makeshift studio, and I'm not in my One Love shirt. Uh, but I've chosen to do this video here in what I'm wearing and how I'm looking for a purpose and because this video is just I really want to share a little bit with you about some of the experience of Dana. Um, most of you, if not all of you, have gotten to know me through the last couple of years of the videos that you've been watching, but I haven't talked or shared with you things that have been a part of my journey over these past 25 years that has allowed me to see and share the things that I share. And so tonight, I'm hoping that you will just allow me to talk and share, which I always talk, right? But to share with you about some of the things that I've experienced in my journey. Um, So anyway, I got off the phone with a young man that we're putting some things together here in Chicago, and I heard music outside. It's like 9:30 here, and when I got out of the shower and stuff, that music was still going. And so on a scale 1 to 10, it was maybe a 6. Wasn't bad. I looked out my window, some couple of cars sitting, with some people, standing outside, smoking, but just listening. And as far as you can see, they're just talking. Well, unfortunately, I have an individual that lives very close to me that will call the cops on individuals in a drop of a hat. And so I wanted to go out there and just let these young men and women know, hey, I know you're not doing any harm right now, but I just want you to know there's an individual close to you that will call the cops. Because I'm not looking for no cops to come and solve a problem because I know in most cases what they end up doing. So I went out there, and said, hey guys, I didn't want to walk up on them, but I said, hey guys, and they turned and looked at me, and I said, look, I just want you to know that there is somebody that lives close to where you are at, and she will definitely call the cops on you because of your music and just you being here. So I said, I don't want you to experience anything tonight. I just want you to know so that, if you want to maybe move or, you choose what to do. But I just want you to be aware of it because I don't want to see any of you getting into trouble because what you're doing right now, there's nothing wrong. And they looked at me and then the one lady's like, man, thank you. And then the guy looked at me and said, all right, dude. Hey, thank you, man. And so as I was talking to them, my phone beeped, and it let me know that my couple of bills, my electric and my gas, were coming in, and unfortunately, my account doesn't have enough to sustain those bills, and was to be overdrawn come to tomorrow. And praise Yah, he is faithful to us. I know that my parents were here in July, and my father hit $100 bill for me when they left. And so I've been holding on to that. And tonight I had to release that into my account. But praise Yah, because yes, I got a couple of donation checks, that help cover some of the costs and things. Because I'm also working, and that payment, is down to 20 hours a week because of budget cuts. So everything turned out good because I could put this cash and immediately have credit, so I won't get any overdraft fees. So as I'm driving, I'm just thinking about the situation that took place, that, our young men and young ladies are not a bunch of thugs and animals. But they're a bunch of individuals that have not been treated with love and respect because they've been judged on what they do. And the very same person that I know would call and complain about their music is the same individual that her car alarm is broken, and if you blow on it, it goes off. And when I have approached this family about their vehicle being broken, she's like, well, I don't have money, so if you want it fixed, then you give me the money. Very standoffish, but yet she will be the the first person to call on these young men and young ladies. And so I didn't go out there screaming and hollering. I went out there and I talked to them with respect, love, and concern. And by the time I drove off, they had turned all their music off, moved their cars, and were talking with no music away from this individual's home, which they didn't know what individual it was, but to a place where they knew they were safe. And it brought up a story, an experience that I had. I got a snack attack one night, and so I drove to one of the not grocery stores because they're not open in my neighborhood, but one of the gas stations in my neighborhood. And yes, it's one of those gas stations that you either point out what you want and then behind glass, and then they twist, you give them the money and then they twist it and then they give you the food. Most of them are not ones that you walk in, or this one that you do walk in, they buzz you in and then you buy what you want and they won't buzz you out if you don't give them the money, and then you slip it underneath the glass, bulletproof glass between myself and the clerk. And so I went there and I got, I think, a Coke and then a candy bar or something. And so when I came out, about 4 or 5 gentlemen, started walking behind me, and they're like, hey, bro, can we ask you, man, we need, do you have some change? And I said, sorry, guys, I don't. I use my card, I don't. They're like, no, man, we need some change. And I said, guys, I'm really sorry. I don't have anything on me. And then they were like, you don't understand. We need some change. Well, by that time I got to my car door, and they were standing right there, by holding the door kind of shut, and behind me. And so I was able to open up the car door just enough so that I could kind of slide into my car, and I shut the door. But by that time they were knocking on the window, and one of them was standing behind my car, and another one was there saying, look, man, you don't understand. We now not asking you, we're telling you we need some money. And so I rolled down my window and I said, gentlemen, I told you that I don't have any. I'm sorry. I started my car. I just want you to know I'm putting it in reverse, and I have to go. Well, just like that, they did move. They smashed a bottle over a beer bottle over my car, and I drove off. Well, the next day, I walk on a street here on the west side, and I pray. I just talk to the Most High. But now this was years ago. And while I was doing that this next night, several guys came up behind me and began to harass me and began to call me names. And one of them hit me in the back of the head with a bottle. And then they surrounded me. And at that point, I felt like something about to happen very negative. And then out of the blue was somebody like, hey, pastor, man, I ain't seen you. Now, he was an angel. I don't quite recognize his face, but he recognized me. But I was doing things in the neighborhood, we'd have little gospel-style block parties where we would pick a corner and we would put up a stage and we would bring in some rappers and, just some folk that we would just have a party. And then we would grill hot dogs and hamburgers and just sit around and have fun. And so he might have recognized me from one of those. And just like that, the guys all backed off. Praise Yah. So anyway, so you have the incident with where I went to get a snack. Then the next day while I was walking and praying, and I got home, and then I heard the Lord, just really say, I want you to go back to that store. And I'm like, okay, is this, the voice of foolishness? Or is this the voice of the Most High? Because I know that when I was a kid, one time I fell off my bike when I was learning to ride the bike. And the last thing I wanted to do was get on that bike. But my father made me face that fear that it's not a reality. It was one time that I fell and get back on that bike. So I said, well, maybe that's it. So I got back into my car. I drove to this same little gas station, got in, got my food, came back out, sat in my car, turned my car on, and literally it was like, and I'm like, oh. So I looked at my window, and here was a tall, young brother saying, "Hey, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you." So I rolled down my window and I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Man," he says, I need to apologize to you, Pastor." And it caught me off guard. And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Man," he said, "you were out on the street earlier today, and I was one of those guys that were yelling things at you, and I actually was the guy that threw the bottle and hit you." And he says, "You know what? Then I found out that you a pastor, you a good man, and I found out that the things that you doing here, man, and I just want to apologize to you, and I pray, please forgive me, man. I got things." I got up out of my car, and I said, "You don't know how much respect I have for you." And I said, "Hey, can I give you a hug?" And he's like, "Yeah, man." So we gave one of those, punch hug hugs. I was able to be used by the Most High to bring this young man to a program where eventually I saw him again. And he said, "Pastor," he says, "I got my GED. I went to this place where I got my carpentry license, kind of, where I can start doing some little carpentry work." And he said, I wanna be a lead carpenter." And so I'm saying this just to share the stories of what has impacted my life, to the reason why I stand up for my black brothers and sisters, and even those in the inner city, because inside of that shell, inside of that portrayed thug, as our society says, are individuals that are hurting, individuals that have not been respected, individuals that have not been loved, individuals that have not been cared for. Yeah, maybe their parent, maybe their mom, but by society. And especially by a society that looks like me. And so these are some of the journeys and the lessons that I have learned along the way that have taught me the beauty of you, my black brothers and sisters, who now I understand the reason why you've been so mistreated is because you are, like I say in my videos, the true Hebrew Israelites. So as I was driving here to the bank and put the money in, I thought that I just wanted to take the time to talk to some of you, to give you an opportunity to know about a little bit about Dana for the first 25 years of my life before, or the 23 years of my life before these past 2 years where you have been listening to me on YouTube. That is experiences like this that has shown me that I have the calling from the Most High to do and to advocate and to love and to stand up for those that this society has thrown to the side. And it's an honor and it's a privilege. And, and I've got other little stories like that, that I'll be able to throw out to teach you how it's taught me even about the depth of my own white privilege and white supremacy. I talk about these things because the Most High has brought me through this journey of 23 years to learn some of those, sometimes the hard way. But it's always been a blessing. And it's always, all things work together for good to those that love Yah and are called to his purpose. So as I was driving tonight, and I thought about these guys and this young lady, how they were like, "Thank you," and they walked away. It could have been so different if I came out there yelling or just called the cops. And when we stereotype and we think that these young men and women out in the streets are nothing but animals and thugs, and then we protest against them, and we march against them, when all they want is for us to talk to them. I mean, what's the difference even if their music is a little loud tonight? When one of my very neighborhood neighbors' car alarm goes off sometimes 6-7 times a night because it's broken, and they don't care. Really? And when I talked to this neighbor, the response was, "Well, if you want it fixed, give me the money to fix it." So anyways, thank you for just letting me talk and share a little bit about who I am, and what I've been through. Just the other night, last night to be exact, I was sitting on the sofa looking at the predicaments and situations that I'm in, finances, in with desires of my heart, ministry, visions and dreams he's given me. And and sometimes we battle the different fears and failures, and nothing's gonna ever change. And then my phone beeped again, and this time I got a email from a beautiful servant of the Most High by the name of Dr. Iris. And in her email, she was like, "Brother Dana, I'm just writing to encourage you." And she thanked me after she went through my webpage, just saying, "Thank you for your commitment and longevity to my people, the true Hebrew Israelites." And then she encouraged me that you will have people that think that when you ask for support or donations or help in the work that you do, that you're using it for your own gain. But she said, "I see your past. I see your heart." And she told me, don't stop believing that provision will come in any way that the Most High chooses for it to come. She says, "I stand behind you." And I began to weep, because as I responded to her, I said, nobody knows the hardship of this journey. It has been for me. Number one, the labor and the labor and the labor to put into try to help and protect the beautiful souls of these young men and women that live in a society that doesn't value them. And then the tears that would fall those nights when you see these young people trying to make all the right choices while everything around them crumbles. And then the nights that I would scream in anger because I saw how white supremacy and racism stepped in and kept these young people from overcoming some of their obstacles, which eliminated them from hoping and dreaming and becoming healed to be able to advance. And then I told her the nights when I literally thought that it might be easier to slit my wrists than watch the people that I love suffer so dearly, while the people I grew up with caused the suffering and refusing to acknowledge it and change it. And then this email came, and I tell you what, I said, the Lord, the Most High, just rewarded me for my work by sending you to speak those words to me in a night when I was battling these thoughts, fear, failure, all of them. And yet you came through as a beautiful servant and blessed my spirit and gave me a peace through your words that were delivered straightly from the Most High, that gave me the peace that surpasses all of my understanding at this moment. So be encouraged. Know that you are the precious chosen people of the Most High. And we know that the tables are turning. You know that your season of oppression and pain and misery as you are suffering is coming to an end. Be encouraged. Hold on. Hold out. And know and know and know the promises of your Most High are yes and amen. So hit me up, www.onelovesociety.love. But let me just say, this is a Dana talk. Thank you for letting me just share my heart, because I want you to know who I am beyond what I have shown you in my videos. So until we talk again, shalom and good night.